Since we created a working fetch URL that grabs data about artists from Spotify's API, we simply need to implement the code that grabs that data within our React application. We can take advantage of ES6 JavaScript's fetch function that handles web requests in JavaScript code. We simply need to specify our fetch URL as a first parameter and then an object as a second parameter containing a method key in the method that we'll use. In web requests, we mainly deal with post methods and get methods. Post methods will submit data to a server or company's database depending on what the user provided on a web page. However, get requests retrieve data over the web, and our fetch URL is an example of that get method. So let's write out the method with the fetch function. So first, we'll specify the fetch URL, and then our second parameter will be that object. And we'll have a key of method, and we'll say get. Now this data alone will not prove sufficient enough to grab. The fetch method in JavaScript returns a promise, and a promise in JavaScript is simply code returned by a function which represents data that may have availability now, in the future, or never at all. In this case, we'll check for the promise in what is called a callback function in JavaScript with an anonymous arrow function. So here's our callback in a then statement. We'll have a response variable, and here comes our anonymous arrow function. And for now, let's console.log this response to see what it looks like. I wonder if this will be enough. As I save, it reloads, and let's look up the Beatles. Now here we have a response, and we have a URL that is true, a status that is okay, so we certainly got information, and here's our body, but it doesn't look like what we searched earlier with our huge JSON object when we typed in our endpoint. That's because we still need to wrap another promise. We need to return the response.json function from this promise variable. Then we'll have another then statement, and this time, let's console log the JSON that is returned. As I save, I'm thinking we'll search Whitney Houston. So here we have an artist object, and there we go. Doesn't this look like the JSON object that we saw before with the followers, external URLs, their IDs, some images? Great. We just implemented fetch in ES6 JavaScript, so now that we grab data in our code, let's move on to building a profile with this information.